The year is 48 CE. A girl of just 15 steps into the Palatine Palace, a place where marble corridors have seen the rise and fall of emperors, where whispers of ambition linger in the air like dust. She wears white silk that clings to her small frame, her golden hair crowned with myrtle wreaths, and yet it's her eyes that command the attention of the Senate and the roar of the people. Claudius, 50 years old, his left leg dragging slightly, his words trapped somewhere in his throat, takes her hand. A hand so small it seems fragile, but one destined to change the course of Rome. Her name is Valeria Messalina. Remember it, because Rome tried to wipe her from memory. Yet here we are, 2 millennia later, still haunted by her story. The palace is fresh with the stains of madness. The corridors still smell faintly of the violence that ended Caligula's reign, a reign of terror where executions were entertainment and incest became policy. Guards once sworn to loyalty drove their daggers into the emperor's own flesh beneath these same vaulted ceilings. Rome craves stability, virtue, heirs. And so they dress this child as their salvation. By her 25th year, she will reshape the Palatine into a stage of dominance and fear. Senators will kneel, aristocratic daughters will vanish behind her closed doors and return as shadows of themselves, bound to secrets that will follow them to the grave. She will orchestrate spectacles that blur the line between decency and depravity, manipulate men and women alike, and even marry another man in broad daylight while still Empress, daring Rome to intervene. And when Rome finally strikes back, her statues will be torn down, her name etched out of history, condemned to Damnatio memoriae, damnation of memory. Yet the story survives because the truth Rome tried hardest to erase is irresistible. What happens when corruption isn't a symptom of power, but power itself? Rewind 10 years. It's 38 CE, and the Forum is alive with chaos. Merchants shout over silk and grain, senators bicker over policies, children dart between the columns. Rome appears indomitable, but rot has already begun. Tiberius is dead, paranoid, despised, alone in Capri, and Caligula, 4 years of lunacy in his wake, is gone. His cruelty is still remembered. A horse appointed to the Senate, dinners where senators' wives were violated before their eyes. On January 24th, 41 CE, 39 stab wounds end his life, his wife slain beside him, his infant daughter's skull smashed against a wall. Panic grips the empire. Who will lead now? They find Claudius, hiding behind a curtain, the stammering uncle, the limp, the embarrassment of a family. 50 years old, never aspiring to the purple, yet thrust into it because survival, not competence, demands it. Rome needs a figurehead, and Claudius, trembling yet alive, becomes that figure. He knows he is a placeholder, a bridge between chaos and order, and he must legitimize himself swiftly. He marries Valeria Messalina, 15 years old, his third cousin, a girl who traces her lineage back to Augustus himself, whose pale skin and golden hair poets will forever obsess over. She is on paper the embodiment of virtue, chaste, obedient, educated in propriety. Rome breathes easier. The Senate nods in approval. The people cheer. The empire has a future again. But what nobody considers is the cost of creating a goddess out of a child. What happens when a 15-year-old is given absolute authority, her every move observed, every word dissected, yet taught she must not wield her power? She is trapped between what Rome demands and what she secretly desires. The tension between imposed virtue and private desire is a chasm, and Rome is about to witness what emerges when a girl learns to master it. The first 2 years are the picture of Roman perfection. Messalina gives Claudius a daughter, Claudia Octavia, then a son, Britannicus. The Senate exhales in relief. Rome has heirs. Messalina appears at ceremonies, draped modestly, eyes lowered, every gesture rehearsed to embody virtue. Publicly, she is the flawless Roman matron. But Rome has always divided women into 2 categories, the matrona and the meretrix, the sacred and the profane. One lives in the atrium, raising children and safeguarding honor. The other inhabits the shadows where desire is untamed and civilization's rules slip away. Messalina chooses to straddle both worlds. The first rumors arrive around 42 CE. A senator, returning late from Ostia, decides to visit Rome's red light district, the Subura. Narrow streets reeking of sweat, wine, and the city's filth. He selects a room, pays his coin, and the woman who enters is unmistakable, the Empress herself. Tacitus, writing decades later, calls her Lysa in these accounts. She frequents the brothel not from need, but for the thrill of power, the exquisite, dangerous pleasure of knowing that anyone who recognizes her becomes entangled in her web. Every man who spots her becomes someone she controls. Every secret is a weapon. Roman morality is a performance, and Messalina wields it like a blade. By night, she conquers. By dawn, she washes away the mask, dons imperial silk, and attends morning rituals with the serene composure Rome expects. Yet the brothel is only the beginning. The real theater of her influence exists within the palace. Picture the banquets. The city's elite sprawled on silk couches around low tables, golden platters heaped with roasted delicacies, wine flowing in jeweled cups. Senators discuss politics, generals recount battles, the empire's pulse beating in civilized conversation. Then Messalina signals. The doors are closed, servants leave, new guests appear, gladiators, actors, foreign captives, and sometimes the sons of prominent families summoned under pretense. What follows is both horrifying and meticulously orchestrated. Forced performances, humiliating contests, political rivals coerced into debasing themselves, aristocratic women playing roles no one dares speak of. Refusal is impossible. A tribune defies her invitation. 3 days later, he floats lifeless in the Tiber. A nobleman tries to escape early. His family loses their estate. The message is clear. No one crosses the Empress. Then come the contests. According to Pliny the Elder, Messalina once competed with the famed prostitute Sulla, not for money but for dominance. Who could outlast the other in a night of pleasure? The exact details are lost to history, tangled with propaganda and exaggeration. What survives is the unmistakable image of a woman exercising control through desire, weaponizing a society that had no language to describe such power. Rome, unable to articulate her audacity, mythologized it. But the myths are rooted in events too shocking to ignore. Within the palace, humiliation becomes currency. Senators arrive at dawn begging favors, leaving at night, having committed acts they will never confess. Daughters vanish into Messalina's chambers, emerging unmarried, transformed. Each participant, each witness, becomes part of her network of dominance. Complicity, not loyalty, is her currency. Loyalty can falter. Shame endures forever. Meanwhile, Claudius continues his work. Aqueducts rise, courts reform. Britannia expands under Rome's banners. Does he know? Of course. Gossip spreads through the city. Senators whisper. Palace servants murmur in corridors. But moving against her would mean admitting his own humiliation, risking civil war, proving he has no control even over his household. So the emperor turns away, focuses on the empire, and lets the rot deepen. Then comes 48 CE, the year everything collapses. Claudius is in Ostia overseeing the grain supply, vital for Rome's survival. Meanwhile, in the city, Messalina marries Gaius Silius, the consul designate. Young, handsome, ambitious, everything Claudius is not. And she does it openly. This is no clandestine affair. It is a public ceremony, witnessed, formalized, undeniable. The audacity is breathtaking. Tacitus captures the disbelief of Rome's elite as the Empress, still married to the emperor, takes another husband before their eyes. Did she intend to seize power? Was this a thrill, a challenge, or a calculated act of defiance? We can't know. We only know that Rome finally reached its breaking point. Narcissus, Claudius's most trusted freedman, brings the news to the emperor. Imagine the disbelief, the horror of hearing that the woman entrusted with the empire has publicly committed what should have been an unimaginable betrayal. Witnesses confirm it, contracts prove it, and the cold reality settles in. Claudius has been legally cuckolded in full view of the empire. He returns with the Praetorian Guard to Messalina's estate, Lucullus Gardens where fountains flow eternally, and imported trees shade the grounds. She is there with her mother, Lepida, who pleads for her daughter to act, to flee, to save herself. But Messalina is paralyzed. Reports vary. Some say she tries to petition for mercy, others that she simply freezes, unable to comprehend the empire's sudden opposition after 10 years of orchestrating it. The soldiers arrive. She recognizes them, perhaps even calls some of them to her side once. Yet now they are here with orders. She drops to her knees, offers her children, pleads, promises everything, and even reaches for a dagger. But the final act is not hers. A tribune drives the blade into her chest. Valeria Messalina, once mistress of Rome's corridors, dies at 25, blood pooling in the grass where she once commanded senators. Her downfall is complete. Claudius enacts Damnatio memoriae, statues shattered, names chiseled out, records rewritten. She never happened, Rome declares, yet here we are, listening, reading, haunted. 2,000 years later, the story refuses to vanish, because power, unchecked and misunderstood, leaves traces even empires cannot erase. And yet this is only the beginning, the consequences of unbridled desire, of weaponized sexuality, of a girl-turned goddess. These are lessons Rome left behind for us. What happens when the palace, the Senate, and the laws themselves bend to a single mind? What price does an empire pay when it underestimates the intelligence and audacity of one woman? Stay with us. The next chapter reveals how private ambition, public spectacle, and unchecked power collided to bring an empire to its knees. Messalina's empire within the empire was no accident. It was meticulously built, a palace where fear and fascination danced hand in hand. To understand her mastery, imagine the corridors of the Palatine, echoing with whispered secrets, footsteps muffled on cold marble. Senators thought they were navigating the halls of governance, unaware they were stepping into a labyrinth of influence, one designed entirely by a 15-year-old girl turned empress. The banquets were her classroom, her laboratory, her stage. The city's elite lounged on silk cushions, surrounded by gold, delicacies, and wine so rich it burned like liquid fire. Conversations ran from Britain's conquest to the latest grain prices. Civility reigned, or so they believed. Then, with a mere gesture, the doors closed. Servants vanished. Gladiators, still smelling of blood and sand, entered, along with actors, captives, and even the teenage sons of Rome's most prestigious families. Pretenses dissolved. Every man and woman present became an instrument of Messalina's intricate symphony of domination. Accounts from the era, written decades later, capture the horror and awe with clinical precision. Aristocratic women, forced into humiliating performances, sometimes in the presence of their husbands, sometimes facing total strangers, emerged either silent, broken, or unwilling to return home at all. Senators who hesitated, even briefly, found themselves dead or disgraced. Families who tried to intervene lost estates, titles, and honor. The empire learned quickly, to resist Messalina was to erase oneself from Roman life. And yet, the Empress did not merely punish, she rewarded complicity. Every man or woman who obeyed became part of her invisible network, a vast web of interlinked secrets and shared shame. This was power far beyond the reach of armies or laws. Loyalty can shift, she understood. But shame is eternal. Meanwhile, Claudius, the reluctant emperor, toiled elsewhere. He reformed courts, oversaw aqueducts, and expanded Rome's reach into Britain. Did he know the theater his wife conducted under his very nose? Undoubtedly. Gossip coursed through the city like a contagion. Senators whispered, palace staff murmured. The rumor mill thrummed with scandal. But the emperor faced an impossible choice. Move against her and admit his humiliation, risk civil war, or continue ignoring the rot as it spread through his household. He chose the latter. This delicate balance persisted for nearly a decade. Messalina's web grew tighter, her influence broader, her audacity bolder. And then came the culmination, 48 CE. Claudius was away, overseeing the grain supply in Ostia, performing the duties of a competent ruler while Rome remained oblivious to the storm about to break. Messalina's next act of defiance was unprecedented. In a public ceremony, she married Gaius Silius, one of the most powerful young senators in Rome. Handsome, ambitious, and in many ways everything Claudius was not, Silius became her second husband, not in secret, not in whispers, but openly, legally, with witnesses. Tacitus describes the scene with disbelief. Rome's elite frozen, unable to comprehend the magnitude of what they were witnessing. This was no clandestine affair, it was a declaration. Had Messalina reached the point where transgression itself became the thrill, where rules existed only to be flaunted, or was it a calculated move to replace Claudius, to seize power through audacity alone? History cannot answer. We are left only with the actions and their consequences. Narcissus, Claudius's most trusted freedman, rushed to inform the emperor. Picture the moment. How do you tell a man that his wife has legally married another in front of Rome? How do you make it believable? Witnesses, contracts, confirmations, all converge to present a truth too surreal for comprehension. The emperor, once mocked for his stammer and limp, now faces an unthinkable public humiliation. He returns to Rome, Praetorian Guard at his back, to confront Messalina at her villa in the Lucullus Gardens. Here, fountains never stop, imported trees shade the grounds, and the ghosts of her past manipulations linger in every corner. Her mother, Lepida, pleads for her daughter to act, to flee to save herself. But Messalina, who once commanded senators with a glance, stands frozen. Reports vary. She tries to petition for mercy, or perhaps she simply cannot fathom the empire finally resisting her. The soldiers arrive. Orders are clear. Messalina pleads, offers her children, reaches for a dagger, but fate is not hers to command. A tribune steps forward and ends her life. Valeria Messalina dies at 25, blood soaking the grass where power and fear once bowed to her. The empire exacts its vengeance, enacting Damnatio memoriae, a condemnation intended to erase her from history. Statues shattered, names chiseled out, records rewritten. The message, she never existed. But even as Rome attempts erasure, Messalina's story endures. Her life and death illustrate a truth empires seldom admit. When private ambition collides with public spectacle, when control is wielded through shame rather than force, even the mightiest empire can bend and break. Damnatio memoriae may have intended to erase Messalina, but Rome never truly forgets. 2,000 years later, we are still talking about her. Why? Because the empire learned too late that power unchecked, especially when wrapped in secrecy, sex, and manipulation, leaves scars far deeper than those of armies or plagues. Messalina's downfall was not merely a tale of sexual scandal or political treachery, it was a lesson in the nature of control. Every senator she humiliated, every general she coerced, every witness who became her accomplice contributed to a network of influence that even Claudius could not dismantle. Complicity, not loyalty, was the foundation of her authority. This is a power most rulers cannot fathom, because it thrives in the shadows sustained by secrets and fear. Her children, Octavia and Britannicus, suffered tragedies echoing their mother's fate. Octavia was forced to marry Nero, her stepbrother, and executed at 22 on allegations of adultery. Britannicus, poisoned at 14, never survived the court's machinations. Claudius remarried within months, selecting Agrippina the younger, who would eventually poison him and place her son Nero on the throne. Rome's cycles of manipulation, ambition, and destruction continued, a perpetual theater of power. What fascinates historians is how much of Messalina's story we can truly believe. Our sources, Tacitus, Suetonius, Juvenal, were all men, writing decades after her death, each with their own agenda. Roman propaganda consistently painted powerful women who threatened male authority as sexually deviant. Cleopatra, Agrippina, Livia, each followed the same narrative template. Yet Messalina was undeniably real in her actions. Her marriages, her political machinations, her control over the elite were documented. but the stories of brothels, contests, and exact numbers, those may be exaggerated, distorted, or entirely lost to time. The enduring lesson is clear. A 15-year-old girl, married to a man more than 3 times her age, given power with no guidance, no education in governance beyond bearing heirs, became a force Rome could not contain. When she discovered that she could wield desire and shame as instruments, the empire that raised her destroyed her. And in doing so, they attempted to erase the evidence of their own corruption. Yet the ruins of the Palatine Hill today speak differently. Tourists stroll past broken columns and crumbling statues, snapping photos and reading about Augustus and Nero, unaware that these stones once held the secrets of Messalina's reign. The empire sought to obliterate her memory, but history, stubborn and relentless, refuses. Messalina's story is not unique in its cruelty, but in its clarity. It exposes how empires can rot from within, not by invasion or plague, but by the unbridled ambitions of those trained to preserve virtue. Power without checks, secrecy entwined with authority, and the deliberate weaponization of human desires can destabilize even the mightiest of states. The lessons echo beyond Rome, into every institution, every palace, every corridor of power, where shame and secrecy govern as much as law and order. Messalina doesn't haunt the Palatine Hill. She haunts every system where those entrusted to maintain virtue exploit it for control. The Roman historians left us warnings wrapped in scandal. Marcus Aurelius, a century later, penned words that could have been about her. Look beneath the surface. Let neither the true quality nor the worth of a thing escape you. He understood what Rome had created and destroyed in the same breath. The lesson is timeless. Societies that empower without educating, that elevate without limits, risk creating architects of their own undoing. Damnatio memoriae failed. Names were scratched, statues shattered, records rewritten. And yet Messalina's life persists in whispers, in chronicles, in the fascination of 2 millennia. The empire tried to bury her, but history has a way of clawing back. Her name, her power, her audacity, they endure because truth, however suppressed, always surfaces. Her story reminds us, empires fall not only to external threats, but to internal decay. Power without accountability, secrecy without oversight, and fear disguised as order are recipes for collapse. And sometimes the most dangerous ruler is not the one with armies at her command, but the one who understands how to manipulate the shadows cast by their ambition. Valeria Messalina was more than a scandal. She was a masterclass in the architecture of dominance, the weaponization of shame, and the fragile veneer of civilization. And for those who study her, the lesson is stark. Even when history attempts erasure, the echoes of audacity, cunning, and unchecked power remain impossible to silence.